Hey everyone, Paul Barosa here. Back. A little recap of Game 2 of the NBA Finals. We're here at KB's house once again to watch Game 2 on the big screen. A game that the Warriors won 110-77, and like the scoreline suggests, it was an incredibly dominant victory by Golden State. Draymond Green got really hot from 3 in the second half. Dominated, scored 28 points, playoff career high. Curry and Thompson were back on the offensive end. Neither of them scored a ton of points, but the efficiency was there, and it always felt like if the game got close, either one of them could have exploded for more. And then for the second game in a row, Golden State's bench was really incredibly good. Iguodala, there's not much more you can say about his defense. I have already, whether on Twitter or on the last video post. He's been, incredible now in 3 straight series against the top, maybe 2 offensive players in the league after Curry withstanded. He shut down Kevin Durant pretty well in the Western Conference Finals, and then last year in the Finals, and then this year in the Finals, he's been incredible in LeBron James. I think LeBron James is worse than a negative 30 now when he's been on the floor in the series, and that credit for that goes a lot to Iggy. He's been as good of a perimeter defender as there is in the league. Or he is as good of a perimeter defender as there is in the league when he is engaged. But I don't really want to spend a lot of time focusing on what happened in the game. Let's talk about a couple big picture things. I think the Cavs' defensive plan, again, was clear. I think this has been the biggest story in the series. They have focused all their efforts on stopping Curry and Thompson, and I just don't think it's the best plan of attack to do against the Splash Brothers. It works in some regards. Curry and Thompson, again, struggle to get penetration. But I just don't think Cleveland is good enough defensively to prevent them from getting catch and shoot things when they looked. Anytime they wanted to run them off some kind of complicated screen pattern, Golden State seemed to be able to get Curry and Thompson at least a little bit of space for a jump shot. And even the Thunder learned, even if you do a good job at making their shots making their shots difficult, it might not even matter. They're still going to make plenty of them. And I think what the Cavs have done by focusing so much of their defensive strategy on slowing Curry and Thompson down is that they have not been able to get back defensively and rotate back defensively to prevent all of the other Warriors from killing them. I don't think the Cavs are collectively smart enough or athletic enough to do this, which is why maybe it's something that worked for OKC a little bit more. They had 3 7-footers in their starting lineup, and their shooting guard is 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan, and their point guard's the most athletic point guard in league history. The Cavs just aren't that, and outside of LeBron, and I guess maybe Tristan Thompson, nobody else in the starting lineup is even a plus defender. And you've been able to. I think that's really shown in the first 2 games of the series, where people like Livingston and Barbosa have just been able to eat up the backside of that defense and really dominate and been huge pluses around the floor. Going to shift a little bit. I want to talk about Love post-ups, and then I think that kind of gets back to a different point. For the second straight game, Cleveland's gone to a lot of Kevin Love post-ups early. I think in game 1 they probably used it a little bit more. He beat Barnes early tonight and then failed against Green twice pretty badly. And then he failed against Curry once too in the second quarter. And that was, I think, the last time they went to it. And I think this is sort of a microcosm of why Love hasn't been that great in Cleveland. He is one of the rare players in the NBA who you can build an offense through and run an offense through either the block, the high post, or the 3. He's a really good passer, and he's a good volume scorer. But I think with his defensive liabilities, you just get a lot of diminishing returns when you're not using him as a centerpiece of your offense. When he was in Minnesota, he went to the post up a lot, and when you don't run any post ups for 2 years and then go to it all of a sudden in the finals, you can't expect to be as good as you were back when you were practicing it a lot. And in Cleveland, he's basically been forced to pick and pop or sit in the corners and shoot threes, and it's hurt the rest of his offensive game. And Cleveland has intermittently tried going to it in big spots, places where they might be able to think when they think they can get an advantage, but it doesn't work quite as well because they haven't built up those reps during the course of the season. Obviously, Love got injured in the second quarter. He took the elbow in the back of the head, and he came out in the third quarter. And I think that it could maybe prove to be a blessing in disguise for Cleveland. I think they went super small right after Love took himself out with Shumpert and J.R. Smith and Jefferson and LeBron at center, and then Kyrie. And I think they kind of did it maybe as like a last-ditch effort. They were down by double digits at that point. But I think it was the most interesting thing about Game 2 for me because any lineup when you have four shooters who can also attack a defense off the dribble in secondary situations surrounding LeBron, that can be there's the potential to be as good of an offensive unit in the league as there is. Unfortunately, as we found out in this game, that unit for Cleveland can't defend at all. I think that they looked as good as they looked on offense all series, Richard Jefferson especially. But the lead went from low double digits to 30 when they were on the court. And as soon as Golden State countered with their all-small lineup with Draymond at the 5, Cleveland just had no chance to score with it. Not because their offense wasn't good, but because their defense was so incredibly bad. A few little things I want to talk about. I thought Kerr changing his substitution pattern was a good move. He went with the Green at the 5 lineup, and he's gone with pretty bench-heavy lineups to start the second quarter for all of the season. Tonight, however, he brought the Green plus 4 bench guy lineup in with a minute left in the first quarter, slightly over a minute left. And then to start the second quarter, he brought Thompson and Barnes back in. And I really like the move for a couple reasons. Preferably, obviously, I'd like there to be 0 minutes when Curry and Thompson are not on the floor, or when one of Curry or Thompson is not on the floor. But Kerr's insistence on playing his bench heavy minutes, or with his insistence on playing his bench heavy minutes, that would limit the amount of time Thompson and Curry can play together. And I don't know if that's what you want to do either. So I think if you're going to play your bench like Kerr does, I think this is a pretty good compromise. It only, theoretically is 2.5 minutes a game where you don't have them on the court, and then I think you maybe can get off to a good start in the second quarter, which is something that has hurt Golden State in the last 2 rounds, or at least it hurt them a lot against the Thunder, where they would go into the second quarter tied, and then that all-bench unit would bleed, 6 or 8 or 10 points, and the starters would come back in down 10. Another thing I thought was kind of interesting is J.R. Smith in the second half ran more initial pick and roll in the Cleveland offense than Kyrie did. I think it's not necessarily the worst move for a couple of reasons. Kyrie likes to probe the defense, I think, a little bit when he is on the ball. Likes to dribble for 5 or 6 or 7 seconds before making a really decisive move and getting into the paint. And I think that indecision is death against Golden State, especially when Green's in at the 5. They have the opportunity to set up and crunch the shot clock down, where the most their defense would have to rotate is 1 or 2 rotations. I think that is where they're at their best. Just flying around where there's not quite enough time to get somebody to miss a rotation and get an open shot. And I think Smith, though he hasn't done it as much in his career, has been a little bit more decisive in this series. He's maybe been a better passer than Kyrie as far as when he's getting into the lane. I think he's done a pretty good job at fronting kickouts. And the Cavs seem to be pretty comfortable in the second half tonight, running Kyrie as primarily a secondary attacker where his role is more get the ball and shoot or get the ball and attack for a layup rather than trying to get other people involved. One thing I wanted to note from the broadcast, too, I want to give props to Jeff Van Gundy. I think he's brought up a lot of really good things in the series. I really like this point about leaving players in with more fouls. I've never understood why coaches take players out. If you foul out of a game, I feel like you get the maximum amount of time that you could possibly give that player in the game. And if a player ends with 4 fouls or 5 fouls and you sat him for 20 minutes, you did not maximize his time on the court. I liked also that he pointed out that Jerry West was 1 for 8 in NBA Finals. I thought that was pretty funny. And then the Curry gravity point, he's harped on it now in both games. It's something that I'm really interested in, and I think it's something that maybe isn't very easy to see from a player. Outside of if you just watch him over and over and over again. Curry, when he's on the court, even if he's not shooting well, even if he's not even touching the ball, helps the team. Defenders have to stick close to him. Every time he runs off of a screen, you have the opportunity, or there's the chance that the defense is going to mess up the switch. And it's not something that, again, that is really easy to notice necessarily, unless you're doing really hard or in-depth camera work or film work. But Cleveland's offense, or Golden State's offense, operates so much better when Curry's on the floor, because Curry's on the floor, and because the defense has to do so much, has to pay so much attention to prevent him from shooting threes. And his range does something to defense that I've personally never seen before, as far as teams trapping him, 5 or 6 or 7 feet above the 3-point line. And that, it just creates so much room for everybody else to work underneath of that, and makes it so hard for defenses to rotate back or recover out of that double team or trap that Golden State's offense can. It makes it really hard to play defense against any lineup with Curry on the floor. The last thing, I guess, there's a couple things the Cavs can do, maybe to try to get back in the series. Like I said, I think they should explore playing Mozgov more and maybe trying to muck up the series like they did last year. Try to really go after offensive rebounds. And I think they would be smart to maybe try to play Curry and Thompson more straight up. At least one of the two. I think they've proven that they can't. I think they've proven that their defense is not capable of shutting them down and then sufficiently preventing the rest of the Warriors players from hurting them on the backside. Will the Cavs do that? I don't know. Seems like Lou has been pretty adamant about playing small, at least in this series so far. And I'd be incredibly certain that they would try the small lineup first if it wasn't for how bad it was tonight in Game 2. So we'll see. I definitely think Mozgov is going to get more minutes. Fry is going to get some more minutes, especially if Love will be out. We'll see how much of a difference they can make. The Cleveland Cloud's going to be out for Game 2 if the Cavs want to make this a series. This will be the game they have to win. As I've said for most of the year, I think it's a terrible matchup for Cleveland, and I don't think they have much of a chance, but we will see. Till after Game 3, this is